Right, we should be live, folks. So let's get back to Discord. So, hi guys. So we've got Bob of all trades. You'll know him. Works for Eluktronics, an extremely famous guy. We've got
Hello,
Chris.
everybody.
We've got Chris Callahan, who you may recall, who actually runs M2 Skins, making skins for laptops, phones, and everything. Now he's going to be helping me do my channel. Doing review units. So I'm going to be sending him, hopefully get laptops sent to him, saves him a lot of money on laptops and so forth. So welcome everybody. The agenda for today, Bob's going to tell us a little bit about his experience at CES because he was down there. He was invited to, topless bar parties and with laptops and these private suites. And he's going to tell us about his laptops, the electronics, what to expect. And then we'll go through perhaps some performance numbers, what we could expect there, because Bob's been playing with them. And then perhaps look at some price to performance or performance to per dollar type of deal. So let's have a look. So yeah, hi everybody. Thank you and for joining the stream. So perhaps Bob, perhaps you can first jump in and tell us a bit about your CES experience.
CES was a little bit busier than I was expecting. It was nothing like it was when you and I went. Was that 2018, Stephen? Am I wrong there? Was it 19? It was 18. Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah, I'm still recovering financially from those trips.
Yeah. I'm kind of there with you. There was, I don't know, from a laptop technology standpoint, nothing really earth-shattering. There was a lot of people that brought an 18-inch laptop to CES with them. Those were interesting, very interesting, because that's something that we've kind of been, low key sort of working on maybe for the last year, and it's just a very interesting play because it's an expensive project in an uncertain economic standing that we may be approaching. So that's going to be interesting. Those are always fun to look at though until you think about flying and you're like, where are you going to put this monster? They're huge. 14, 16, and 18 though does seem to be like the popular sizes. So long gone are the 16 by 9 and 15-inch laptops, unfortunately, because that's probably my favorite solution. So it's kind of sad to see those go. Acer Predator 18, hideous in my opinion. I thought it was absolutely ugly. I think Razer's 18-inch laptop looked really nice. It's probably going to run very hot, but it looked really good.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And the Asus version, I think, will probably be one of the standout ones as long as they can keep the price right on it. Alienware is only as good as their software, in my opinion, and those that have used those machines kind of know how that goes most of the time, but they tend to do look very, very nice. Other than that, though, there really wasn't anything that blew me away. A couple companies bringing some vapor chambers like Clevo and a 16-inch laptop, and other than that, nothing earth-shattering. But I mean, how are we trying to reinvent the wheel here? All these companies keep adding more power in a laptop that's still essentially a laptop. It's the same form factor it's been forever. So
yeah,
the issues are trying to cram as much performance in these as possible, and that's pretty difficult, man. I can't wait for the day when NVIDIA can bring the wattage back down, if they do, and that would be really, really, really nice. So,
yeah, I mean, if we could see more of the AMD laptops and perhaps some 3D cache AMD CPU designs.
don't expect to see a lot of those, not because the chips aren't great, but just the deals that are kind of being made. I don't think a lot of people are going to be going with NVIDIA, AMD straight out of the gate. Maybe towards the end of the year, you might see that a little bit more, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's not so much a chip shortage; it's more of just weird shenanigans.
That's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
Bit of backhanders, eh? Okay. But of course, there's a lot of new screen designs, isn't there now? With a 16 by 10 aspect ratio seems to be the go-to. And I did a poll. 73% of people prefer that aspect ratio, me included. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I've used it a lot, and I still like the 16 by 9 better. But as a content creator, first, if I was that person again, definitely 16 by 10. But I'm one of the few people I feel like that is still like a nerdy gamer. Do you know what I mean? Like I still game a lot in 16 by 9 all day for that. Absolutely. But yeah, this is 16 by 10. Like I'm right now I'm on a Mag 15. I just can't let this laptop go. I love it. It's small to me compared to a 16-inch laptop because of the depth of those. You've got like 2.5 more inches, and it's a bigger machine. I don't have a problem with the weight. I don't have a problem carrying it around. It's substantially bigger.
Now tell us about the Mag 15. They're going to drop that, aren't they? Or they're going to turn it into Intel Arc GPU. Is that right?
That's right. So we really wanted to go that route, but they're getting rid of NVIDIA. There's no more mechanical keys in it. It's all membrane. And we were looking into it. I wanted to get some samples in, but the reality of it was it just wasn't worth it. Because I would have seen it, fallen in love with it, because I like the Mag as this nice, subtle, clean design. But you can't purchase them for a good enough price in order to build them how we want to and sell them for a fair price. The way Intel's going to have it is it's just going to be priced through the roof, and
it's going to be a shame.
Yeah,
because that Arc GPU isn't that great at the moment. Next year it might be better, perhaps.
Yeah, and I really hope they do continue with it because it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, for sure. So perhaps we're looking at your website here, Bob. Your new laptops for 2023. Perhaps you could fill us in what we could expect from Eluktronics.
Right now, we just have those two chassis, the Mech 16 and Mech 17. The Max 15 and 17 is gone. The Mag is gone. The Mech 15 is gone. A lot of these are designs that have been around for many generations, and it's just time to, take them out to the pasture. There's the Prometheus is gone, but there may be something else to replace it, a new evolution of that chassis. We'll see. It won't be ready when these two are available, but it's something that we're certainly considering. We get samples and things that we request and test and build out all the time, and most of the stuff doesn't make it to light because we really just don't like it as much. You know what I mean? So it's not fair to introduce something that we really don't believe in. And I truly feel that way, and the owner of the company does as well, which is really nice.
And I know we had one question. In fact, we had a couple of questions on my channel here. In fact, one of them was from Vaco, fan noise without the water. What do you expect some balance mode?
The Mech 17, I think anybody that has this has even mentioned this when you start talking fan noise. The Mech 17 fan noise is awesome. So setting decibels aside, this is going to sound really silly, pun intended, but there's a difference between a whoosh sound and a whish sound. You know what I mean? You want that deeper whoosh sound because it's not as annoying to your ears. Yeah. In the Mech 17, it full fans is one of the best max fan laptops that I've heard in years, especially with this kind of power. The Mech 16 is a little bit higher pitch, but by no means it is high as like a Max 15 or a Max 17, which were a much higher pitch. Thinner blades, fast RPM, thin laptop. It kind of just goes hand in hand just to try to keep
it does.
things.
It does, yeah. And there's no pulsating up and down. That's the most annoying thing I find. It's
Sure.
Steady. And you've got good fan control on these systems. I remember,
I honestly think the software is better than anything. It's amazing how you can control the wattage, the fans, it's just a really nice package. It's easy to use, and there's no BS tied to it, which is really cool.
Yeah. So you can control the CPU wattage, yeah. Not the
Yeah.
It's a shame because MSI Afterburner, you've probably heard about that not being particularly supported anymore because the guy's not getting paid in Russia. You heard about that?
I did not.
All right.
I was using it today on a 4090 laptop. That's unfortunate. So I wonder what'll happen there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he hasn't been paid for 11 months. He's in Russia, right? And of course, struggling to get paid. So, yeah.
Well, he did say that he was going to continue supporting RTSS, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you use RTSS without Afterburner? I haven't tried that.
Yeah, I'll have to look at Asus Tweak 2. I mean, that was okay. I remember we used to use that before to overcome, I think, the power limit, the 87-degree limit, wasn't it?
Yep, on the first generation Mag.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's funny. I was just thinking about that an hour ago.
That's funny. Okay, so what other question do we have on my channel? I didn't have many questions, but Jay asked, I would like to see some comparisons for the following average prices of the 4,000 laptops. Now, do you have any price indication of your laptops yet? They get launched next month, aren't
Won't
they?
have anything until, where are we at? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty tight-lipped on that one. And okay.
It's not even that. I genuinely don't know. I can talk about all sorts of things, but the owner doesn't even know. And I just had that conversation with him last week.
Wow. That's okay. Well, the performance differences between 100 watts, 125 watts, 130 watts, and the 4060 and the 4070 Ti. You got any idea? I mean, you're just playing with the 4090 at the moment. Have you played with any other?
Yeah, all we have right now to test are 4090s, and a lot of those are like one is out getting validated for 6400 megahertz memory from one of our vendors. Yeah, there's some other people that do have these units that we're sharing information from to get as much oomph out of these as possible. So sort of behind the scenes. So the only ones that I have been using lately are 4090s, both in the 16 and 17. And I used the 17-inch 4090 today for about 3 hours or so.
And what type of thermals are you seeing in that and when you're running it?
Well, this is going to sound pretty generic, but if you take anything from what I say today, this is going to be the most important thing. Every manufacturer out there is gunning for the most performance, which means crank the wattage and run to the thermal limit. Then it becomes a game of how much wattage can you squeak within that thermal limit to try to be the best. So if you're intelligent about things and gone over any of the tuning videos that I used to produce all the time, which still to this day get a lot of hits, and I'm very grateful for that, you can take our laptop on air and get it to run incredibly cool if you just take the time to move some of those sliders around. It really is the key ingredient. If you try to max out the CPU to 160 watts and the GPU to 175 or Electro Boost, can't really talk about that too much, but we can push past 175. On air, you'll never throttle the GPU. You just can't do it. I've tried like crazy and I can't do it. CPU, if you're running 100 watts through it, plus running the GPU at 160, 180 watts or whatever, sure, you can get the CPU to hit 90 something degrees. That's beating the living crap out of it though, you know? But that's kind of an unnecessary thing to do. Like, as long as your graphics card saturation is at 99% and you can still turn down your CPU wattage to like 20 watts, you're going to get legendary thermal performance. And that's nothing you have to do as far as download something fancy. You don't have to go into the BIOS. You just adjust the slider and you're good to go. Yeah, I wish people would kind of take advantage of that because it works really well.
Well, it's a good enthusiast option, isn't it? Now a lot of other manufacturers are using AI to optimize stuff. Now, is that something Eluktronics?
Absolutely not. No way.
I don't like AI.
No, we want 100% user control.
Yeah. Good idea. Yes. All right. So let's see what. The only question we had here.
Somebody was asking why no 18-inch if there's like a plethora of them at CES this year. I'm assuming they're all the same display panel, right? I can't imagine there's a lot of manufacturers making 18-inch displays.
Probably not. I don't know who's making it. You want to find out when you're there, but usually when you're looking at the laptops, the people are watching you like a hawk. So, and if I plug in a USB that has HW Info 64, they're going to say, "What the heck are you doing?" Trust me, I know from experience they don't like that. So I don't know. All I know is you could potentially expect to see something like that from us in a year from now. And we weren't caught off by surprise. The 18-inch laptop solution is something that has been in heavy discussion, designs, our design team, everything for a very long time. We were a little surprised to see this many of them come to CES. We were actually thinking that we were going to be one of the first, to be honest with you, but not the case. And to be furthermore, just even more upfront, I'm actually pretty happy about that because I do have my doubts with the success of an 18-inch laptop. Stephen, you should make a poll one time. Just do 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. An 18-inch laptop will probably be the last thing that people choose in percentage. 15 usually wins, and then it'll go 17, then it'll go either 14 or 16, and then 18. And I've done this numerous times. So hopefully people buy it, but this will be a nice little test to see if people do by letting other manufacturers with a lot of overhead and scratch in their pockets to be able to
I suppose,
to prove if it works.
I suppose a 16-inch will probably be the new 15. So
the 16-inch mech is so far my favorite laptop I've ever put hands on.
Yeah, because you've still got thin bezels and the footprint's still pretty small, isn't it? Yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Now they've all got, of course, a mux switch. How about Advanced Optimus? Your laptops have that?
Both of those do. Yep. G-Sync, Advanced Optimus. Yep.
Great. I was pleased to see that most laptops now this year seem to have Advanced Optimus, or what I've seen so far.
It's funny, the whole mux switch and all that stuff. It's nice to see a lot of manufacturers doing that because Eluktronics was doing that for a long time. Yeah. Probably all the way back in 9th generation Intel and beyond. And when they were selling Clevo laptops, they were all the way back in 6th generation, the mux switch was. So they've been around for a while. It's just other manufacturers aren't using it. A $10, $15 part here and there really adds up if you're buying tens of thousands at a time.
I also hope that certainly on the budget, the cheaper options, like perhaps like the $1,200 range or whatnot, they do at least put 2 sticks of RAM in rather than just.
If it's DDR5, you don't have to.
You don't have to?
No. One single DIMM works just as good as 2.
Okay, great then. So perfect then. Now you've been testing the 4090. Can you tell us any benchmark results or any feelings how it performs compared to a 3070
I researched desktop 3090 scores today, and we're ahead of that by a little bit. That's not bad considering the power that those things produce. So it's like 15% better than a 3080 Ti desktop, comparing it to a desktop, not a laptop. If you want to compare it to a laptop, it is about twice as fast as a 3070 Ti. I can run Ultra, Battlefield 2042, maxed out everything. I don't even know if it has DLSS. I don't care about any of that stuff. I disable all of it. Just pure rasterization always. And I was getting like 130 FPS or more.
Wow. Is that with or without the Electro Boost? Is that the
I don't know if the Electro Boost is really working to its fullest yet. I mean, right now we're running like beta BIOS, all sorts of stuff. And we're not even running the fast RAM. We're running 4800 megahertz memory. We don't have the 6400. The 6400 stuff is being validated probably as we speak. I would imagine it's being worked on already. So yeah. It's sick. It is very, very impressive. And the difference between water and air, if I recall correctly, the water cooler will allow for the extra boost, which is kind of an appropriate move. But generally speaking, the performance between the two isn't that much different. It's the quality of life you get from the fan noise. And this is something that a lot of people talk about as a customer and a consumer, but nobody talks about as a reviewer. Like, just crank it out, max fans. It's because it's what we're all used to. But when you can sit down in front of a laptop that is now like 3 times quieter than it's ever been before, it sounds like a machine that's legitimately at idle and it's hauling ass. That is awesome.
That is
and with
awesome.
With the new liquid cooling, it's like got a MagSafe design on both ends. It's magnetized, so you don't even have the proprietary clip, and you just literally pull it off, and it's awesome.
So you have to drain it each time, do you? And then you have to drain it and fill it up again.
No, the way it's designed in the laptop now is it's as soon as you pull the plug, it like suctions itself closed.
Oh, wow.
So you'll get a couple of drips and things like that. I mean, usually I unplug it when it's running because I want to see how obnoxious of a mess I can make because I know people are going to do that. And I have not had an out of hand situation yet. So
That's
that's a
cool.
good thing.
That is
Yeah,
great.
I'm kind of ruthless to these things. I'll put a liquid cooler and I'll put this one. Once we get a few more, we just took delivery of another one today as we're going through all the 4 different beta phases before we get the final one. And I'll put it in the trunk of my car and I'll drive around for 2 months and just let it beat the hell out of itself back there full of water and see how much leaks. I did that with the last one as well.
Now, Joe Smo's asking about thin and light 4090s, you know, something like the Zephyrus G14, that's got 125 watt 4090, hasn't it? Any idea what type of performance we'll expect on that? If it's guesswork really at this stage, isn't it?
It's guesswork because even though we had VIP access to all these great places, a lot of times when you ask those questions, they don't know the answers. I mean, Steven, you remember when you and I had VIP access to Gigabyte and we were asking them questions and they don't know.
No,
the people that
the marketing people definitely got no idea.
No, the people they have that go to these shows are really good-looking people that really don't know the product like we do. So you almost just have to just guess. CES is nothing more than a pretty face, and a bunch of handshakes.
Definitely, very true. Sorry, Joe. Yeah, well, many of these laptops are getting launched. I think soon as February the 8th. I mean, I've got some price. We do have some pricing information from Micro Center, which is of course a store here in the United States. So the Katana with a 13628 and a 4050, $1,200.
Now, I've seen some posts regarding because the MSI, or excuse me, the Micro Center stuff's been pretty big hit right now, like on Reddit.
Yeah.
Select deals and stuff like that. And those that have done a lot of digging have discovered that a lot of the displays that you're going to see in some of these MSI laptops are like 250 nit or like low sRGB kind of stuff. It could be one or the other. But just, I mean, if it's not a drawback to you, then by all means, knock yourself out. But it's just not my jam.
I know, right?
What is it? 12th Gen 2. That's interesting.
Yeah, the one here, the 12th Gen with the 4060, $1,200. But I think this is the Katana, and I think the next one here is the Pulse with a 4060, but 13th Gen. It's a lot more than that. It's $1,500. So I think that's a Katana for $1,200. You say it might have a really crap display. It's 144 hertz, so it may well be
full HD.
Full HD, yeah, right. Well, so's the Pulse. It's uses the same panel there. So the price does vary. Then they got up the Pulse 4070 goes up to $1,700. Now I think that's a decent price, but of course, what would be the wattage on that? We don't know, do we? This is the thing, I wish people like Micro Center and Best Buy and whatnot will say what the watts are. This is always been a gripe of mine. We don't know, are we? I mean, it's not a Pulse is not a thin and light laptop, so it should be. I think it would have a higher power in it. The 4080 with the Raider. Now, of course, you were getting up there. This is the GE78H6. This is the HX, the 17-inch model. This is 3,300. Now I've got the 12800HX with a 3070 Ti, and that was 2,000.
How much is that one? And what GPU's in that?
It's the 4080 and the 13980HX.
That's expensive, huh?
And would you expect you?
Yeah, that's the top Intel chip too.
Yeah, 13th Gen HX is nasty. It is so freaking awesome. Like, his Cinebench score 30,000. It's nuts.
Oh, it's insane. It is insane. But I've got it's not that old. I only bought it a short while ago. But it's a 3070 Ti, the 12800HX, and that was like 2,500. So it's still a jump. But I think you're going to
get that for $1,500-$1,600 now, probably, right?
Probably
on sale.
Probably 1,900. The GE67 dropped down to like 1,800.
Oh, okay. That's a good laptop.
Great laptop with the OLED, yeah. They've got a 4090 version and that's $4,000. So I reckon 4090s are going to be at least $4,000, aren't they?
What I want to know is when I get my hands on a 4080, I want to know how it competes with the 3080 Ti, because this every laptop season tends to be the same, and I don't anticipate this being any different. Although I genuinely don't know yet because I haven't used a 4070 or a 4080 yet. But Steven, do you know where I'm going here? Like okay, great, cool. I could get a 4070 laptop for X, but what if I could get last generation's 3080 or 3080 Ti for like a little bit less, and maybe it's a little bit faster? Why don't you do that? You know what I mean?
So, oh yeah, you could be like half the price.
Yeah,
I agree. It's probably the way to go. But 4K panel adds an extra $700 to the mix. That's compared to QH.
Does it show a picture of that laptop?
They did,
especially
they did, and it's gone. I don't know why.
So I want to educate you guys, everybody, a little bit on how the displays are currently working, especially through our vendor, but I don't think it's different through any of the other ones. So we use BOE. Yeah. So those that want like the mini or OLEDs, those crazy like panels, the chin of the bezel, so the B cover, right? The bezel, the bottom part of it needs a lot of space. That's because there's like a giant PCB and stuff that goes there that really supports these robust displays. So our current Mech 16 and 17, by design, they don't have that. So we are limited to QHD, high refresh rate, G-Sync. I mean, it's an appropriate panel for gaming, but if you want like an OLED or a 4K 120 hertz or 1,000 nit solution, we actually have to design a laptop that can house those displays. And it may not be like that in another 1 or 2 generations, and I don't know that for certain, but I do understand how panel technology improves over time. So the bezel of a laptop has a lot of meat on it for those displays to work. And so we are considering a chassis that would allow for something like that, but we got a little ways to go before it's kind of finished enough for us to look at to consider. So just in case anybody's like, why doesn't it have this panel? Why doesn't it have that? You guys are being cheap. It's actually a physical limitation. And I wish you guys could see when we sit down and we're on the big screen in the office, and it's like we're shopping. Like we get to see all of the IDs that we're interested in, producing, and it's like putting together like a Lego kit, and just like, A and 1, 2, 3 and all this stuff. And you can't imagine how cool that is, but at the same time also very disappointing, because we have laptops here that we love, and they physically cannot take those displays. It just doesn't work that way. Right. So
yeah, thanks for explaining that, Bob. Yeah. Hey, Lee Mitchell's asking, are the new Mech 16s, are their keys as loud as the Mech 17 GPs? Also, did Intel botch Thunderbolt again, or can we use DisplayPort via Thunderbolt and bypass the iGPU?
We're not messing around with that this time. We went all HX processors for Intel, so the whole VR, all that stuff is going to work just like it normally is. It'll be connected directly to the dedicated GPU, so you're good there. And that wasn't an issue with us, not implying that's what he was saying at all, but that kind of caught a lot of people by surprise, because that's not how it was before with 11th gen and in previous gens as well. So we wanted to go HX for 12th gen. It just was not ready. We would have come very late to the party had we had gone that route. So we went with the H, and then it was a surprise to us, like, what do you mean this doesn't work with the dedicated GPU? So kind of crummy. So yeah, moving forward, HX, it's going to work just the way you want it to. Keyboards, yeah, it's the mechanical keys. It's the Cherry. They're labeled as browns and they sound like blues, man. They are loud. Now, we have the option to go with a membrane solution. The issue with that is the name of these laptops got their name because it uses a mechanical keyboard. So most of us in the office want to switch, or at least offer a membrane solution, because I think it would be very popular. But the owner of the company is a little hesitant because, I mean, after all, these laptops are named based on that. So to him, it's kind of weird. And to be fair, he's not wrong. I think he's dead right. So it'd be interesting to see and get some feedback from you guys about that.
You'll have to call it the MEM 16.
We thought about that. That's so awful.
It doesn't it? But shit. The MEM 16.
Now the keyboard of that mech feels incredible. There's no key wobble. Like even on the long space bar, you can tap one side, the whole thing moves very smoothly. It can just be noisy, and if you don't like it, I get it. But as far as the feel of the keyboard, it's very satisfying. So
yeah, no, I love the keyboard, so that's great.
One, Steven, did you get one of ours? You need one of these then.
Yeah, I need one of these. Definitely need one of these ones. Yeah, I've had some the old mechs. Yeah. Let's have a look here. So, Chris put this together. It's just, I asked him to have a look at some ASUS laptops, see how the price has changed over time. You guys can't see this at the moment unless you look at the stream, but perhaps you can explain it a little bit to us, Chris.
Yeah, no, I was looking up MSRPs at launch, like launch pricing for the different generations of some of the laptops that have been around, the lines that have been around for at least 2 to 3 years. G14 is obviously one of their most popular models, or at least that's the ones that we see a lot of movement on those. They've gone up significantly, and judging by the pricing that we're throwing around on Micro Center with the 40 series, I can't imagine a 4090, even if it's at 125 watts, is going to be at or even around $1,900, right? So
there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like they started back with 2060 Max Q, and I remember, like Bob, you and I were going back and forth back in the day on one of your videos. Undervolting that thing was you get near the 90 watt performance out of the Max Q, and then they went to 3060. They bumped it up by $50, and then it just started. Once they went AMD, it was 1900. And you notice with the M series, like they went from the 15 to the 16, but they bumped it up by $300 every year at launch. And I tried to get the same GPU tier or try to find similar GPU tiers. Strict same thing, 15 to 18 to 21, right? So they're going up pretty significantly every year, and I can't imagine it's going to reverse trend this year.
And you don't mind paying more if you get something more for it, whether it's performance or you get better screens or better battery life, perhaps, or your better processor. So, I mean,
absolutely, yeah,
for sure. All right, that's cool. Well, hopefully ASUS will send you a flow, because we asked for them. That's what you're particularly interested in. So hopefully they'll send you a flow X13 to look at. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll do a nice review against the older model. I've got an older model upstairs. I got a Flow 16 with the 6900 and a 13 with the 5900. I can use to comparison gen over gen.
Now I did a quick analysis. I went through mainly on the Helios line, the Helios 300, and also later, of course, now the Helios A16. I went back as far as like the GTX 1060, like you see here. 2060, the 3060, the 3070, the 3070 Ti. I don't think that existed on the Helios. I think that from a different laptop. The 3080, I tested that. They said the starting price of the 4060 on the Helios 16 was $1,650. The 4080 as found on an Indian website for sale, that's like $3,000. I can't remember. I got $1,700 from the 4070. It seems pretty cheap to me, that though. But what I did here, I've got the pricing. We've got here the GPU score, as mentioned by the WFCC Tech or whatever it's called.
It's this Firestrike.
No, GPU score. Yeah, we get that shot.
GPU of what? What benchmark, or is that the benchmark?
Time Spy. Time
Spy. Not extreme though, just regular, right?
Yeah, just regular. Yeah, GPU score. Right. Yeah. So, and of course the earlier ones, I've got from like Notebook Check, just averaged them out, And then I did divided the GPU score by the price. As you can see, the 1700, it makes it like fucking that's the dog's bollocks. That. So I'm sure that's gonna be more expensive. But generally, I was surprised that the 1060 actually was pretty poor for the price. So I know the 4060s because they go to 1650, but the performance is so much better than say the 3060.
It's funny looking at this, seeing the prices. Oh, we should have ordered more laptops. Like, our price to performance beats the living crap out of this.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, take it with a huge grain of salt. That, of course. I mean, it's just,
It's WCCF tech
guesswork
as well. So
yeah, you never know. But anyway, I think we might want to finish on that. Let's see if there's any questions from. Joe Smo wonders about those scores. Well, I know. We'll soon find out. February the 8th, they seem to be getting released. When are your laptops on sale, Bob?
I would say end of February. Optimistic.
End of February. Okay. Do you think I'll be able to get the hands on one before they go on sale? To start so I can launch it at the time it goes up?
I've been using them for 3 weeks probably.
Okay. Well, that'd be good then. That'll give you time to test it, and then
it's just a fun time for me. It was same with last generation. There's just a lot of stuff that we're working with. Possibly with Prima as well. And I mean, we work with him all the time, but to see if it's going to work out this generation, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happening night and day that we're doing. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun in the company right now, man. Messing with the 4090 for the last couple of weeks has been really cool.
And what do you do for skins? Do you still do dbrand, do you?
We have something with them, but I don't know what we're going to do for this particular chassis. I think they want a huge purchase. So the company does know about you. So I would imagine I can have Will reach out to you if you haven't tried to contact him at all.
Yeah, well, on that basis, perhaps I could review one and Chris can review one, and then we can then.
Yep.
You can measure up for skin.
That would be awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't mind me just taking some notes. I want to write that down.
Great. You got anything else to add, Chris?
I do have one question. So Bob, since have you been hammering on just the 17, or have you been hammering on both the 16 and the 17?
More time with the 16, and it's only because I personally like it more for no other reason than I think it looks so great. And I love the trackpad size. To me, if I were to buy one of those, that's the one. And it's not because I think it's better. It's just better for me. If you just want all out best of the best, the 17 does inch away from the 16 a little bit. It sustains a little bit higher wattage on Cinebench. I've spent 90% of the time with both laptops on air. It's just the way I prefer doing things anyway. The water cooling is wonderful, but it's hard to relate that level of awesomeness with anything else out there. So I don't want to get too far off the path of understanding what laptop life is like for most, and for most people, it's using air. So I love the 16 a lot. The 17 is amazing.
Yeah. And I can't wait to test it. I've never even tested your water system. I know you bought a prototype here that time, so it'd be good.
Yeah, the new one is so cool. It looks awesome. The RGB and the fans, which I shouldn't be into because I'm too old for that, but I love it. It's nice. It's quieter. It's a little bit smaller, but the radiator size is still the same. It's easier to fill. I don't know. It's just a better product, like in every single freaking way. And you usually don't see that kind of evolution across A to Z. You'll usually see like, oh, well, there's 3 things I don't like about it, and we were able to address one of them this time. No, everything that like could have been better on the first generation one was improved on the second, and then it also looks awesome. So yeah,
great, awesome, brilliant. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I know it's late on your Friday night. You should be spending time with your families. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and thank you for everybody for watching. Stay tuned, for Chris and my reviews on these new laptops. All the best, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.